true, Potter. Ghosts are transparent.
The Dursleys often spoke about Harry like this, as though he wasn't there, or rather as though he was something very nasty that couldn't understand them, like a slug.
In The Boy Who Lived, Muggle was mentioned 9 times. Grunning's Drill is the company that Mr. Dursley works for. The Dursleys were worried about people finding out their associations with the Potters. The first kind of owl that was seen on Privet Drive was a tawny owl. Mr. Dursley's office was located on the 9th floor. On the day that he who must not be named was defeated by Harry Potter, Mr. Dursley yelled at 5 different people. Yikes.
You about to lose your job.
The name of the local weatherman who reported shooting stars, his name was Jim MacGuffin. Dumbledore extinguished 12 lights on Privet Drive, but there were 14 in total. McGonagall suspects Daedalus Diggle of creating shooting stars in Kent. The scar on Dumbledore's left knee is a perfect map of the London Underground. Petunia was putting out milk bottles the morning she discovered baby Harry. In The Boy Who Lived, we are introduced to the Dursleys and the tensions that they have with magic. We're also introduced to the adult trio. Dumbledore apparates in. McGonagall's an animagus the whole day. Hagrid rides in on a flying motorcycle with baby Harry. Let's just say I can't wait to get to Hogwarts because I'm already sick of the Dursleys. I've only been with them a chapter and a half, and it's a chapter and a half too long. It's really good, actually. So a theme that I noticed in this chapter is deprivation. Deprivation can be defined as the damaging lack of material benefits considered to be basic necessities in a society, or the lack or denial of something considered to be a necessity. Hey Potterheads and future Potterheads, thank you so much for joining me. This is the Vanishing Glass mukbang, and I appreciate you guys being here with me. So what I have today is I have a tuna sub because, as I told you guys, I'm a pescatarian, so I don't really eat meat. I just eat seafood and seafood. So what I got is a tuna sub, and I don't really care for tomatoes that much, so maybe it's a little plain Jane. So I have lettuce, onions, tuna. I'm kind of disappointed because I feel like I probably should have got cheese. I don't know why I didn't. Sad face. I didn't have spicy mustard, so I decided to put some on when I got home. You know, you gotta zhuzh it up. So we're gonna get into the chapter, The Vanishing Glass. It's so funny because it took me a good 2 or 3 reads to even know why this chapter is called The Vanishing Glass.
Stupid.
You were literally too stupid to insult.
Thank you.
Because I'm slow sometimes. We pick up right where we left off the last chapter, obviously. So the chapter starts off with saying that we are back at Privet Drive. You know, it's been a good 10 years. Nothing really has changed except everyone's 10 years older. The text states that Even though it's been 10 years and, you know, this is a family home, there's only a picture of one kid because Harry doesn't exist within the home. We call it the Dursleys' house because it definitely is not Harry's house, right? Harry gets to sleep in the cupboard under the stairs for 10 years. He gets to wake up and cook breakfast and clean and whatever little duties they want him to do. The chapter starts off with Harry being asleep under the stairs. And I love the dream that he's having because little Harry James Potter is dreaming about Hagrid. He says that he's having a dream about a flying motorcycle. And he feels like he's had that dream before, but he's had that reality before. He just doesn't know. So nasty old Petunia bangs on the door, wakes up Harry out of his little sleepiness because my man was dreaming about Hagrid, leave him alone. But she wakes him up so that he can cook breakfast because it's Dudley's birthday. Sometimes refer to him as Harry the house elf because he's basically the Dursley servant. This is so good. But I'm also really hungry because I haven't eaten today.
Ain't ate all day, literally.
So he gets up begrudgingly. Harry goes into the kitchen. He sees the table full of gifts. They don't give Harry gifts, even though they understand the importance of such things. Got Dudley, 36, 37, 38, 39 gifts. They do get Harry gifts, but it's really petty. Like they're mad savage. You know, I can't even imagine how this kid feels seeing all these gifts on the table. So he starts cooking the bacon, or attending to the bacon, because I think Petunia already put it on. Then Dudley comes in, starts counting his gifts.
I want everything to be perfect.
And is annoyed that he has less gifts than he had the year before. And the funny thing is that half of the stuff he don't even need. You know, a second TV? No. So after Petunia convinces this kid that they're just gonna buy him more gifts, the phone rings, right? So she's appeased this little devil in the making. She appeased him by saying they're gonna buy more presents. That really needs more mustard. I don't want to overdo the mustard, but it needs mustard. The phone rings after, you know, Petunia tells Dudley she's gonna get him all these little gifts. And it's so funny because Harry's so used to Dudley and his shenanigans that as soon as Dudley starts to go left, Harry starts wolfing his food down because he thinks Dudley's gonna turn the table over. Dudley's literally in a gang. His Fig on the phone. She breaks her leg because he tripped over one of her cats. So she can't keep Harry. I don't really know why though, but that's alright. Miss Fig got a right to say what she do and don't want to do.
Okay, we get it. You just learned how to edit.
You know, every year they take Dudley and one of his little weird friends somewhere fun. It's funny because Harry says that his aunt looks at him with disdain, like it's his fault, like he did something to create this. And as soon as Dudley finds out that Harry has to come with them, this kid starts bawling. Dudley's literally in a gang. He just starts fake crying, and he cries and he cries and he says, oh, he ruins everything. And his mom's like, I won't let him ruin your day. And he cries up until the moment the doorbell rings and his friends come, because of course he's not gonna be crying in front of his little homies, right? Harry's ecstatic. He gets to go to the zoo for the first time in his life because he said that the only places that he gets to go are school, his cupboard, and Miss Fig's house, which he says smells like cabbage and cats. So you guys deal with that. Well, I tried to take a bite. Is that big? It was a little indecent of me. This is really good. Before They go to the zoo. Vernon corners Harry, and he says, "I'm warning you." I'm trying not to say the line from the movie verbatim.
I'm warning you now, boy.
But he basically warns him and tells him that he doesn't want anything bad to happen. And Harry's like, "I'm not gonna do anything. I don't do anything," even though Harry knows within inside of himself that weird stuff just happens, right? So his aunt wanted to cut his hair. I mean, but not in a way that was like cute or stylish.
And if I go this way? Ah! Wow, that's a weird cut.
She wanted him to have a short haircut, but she also wanted his scar to be covered. So Harry grew his own hair back. Another thing that Harry noted was that his aunt was trying to force him into a sweater that he didn't like, and the sweater just kept shrinking and shrinking and shrinking until eventually it was like the size of a little, like a doll shirt. Like it could only fit like a puppet. And the last thing, which is so like weird, is that Dudley and his gang were like chasing Harry, and something happened and he ended up on the roof of the school because he was just trying to like escape these kids. So Harry knows that something is like off. Like, I mean, he understands this warning because he notices that weird stuff happens around him. He doesn't know that it's magic though. So we finally get to the zoo. Half an hour later, Harry, who couldn't believe his luck, was sitting in the back of the Dursleys' cars with Pierce and Dudley on their way to the zoo for the first time in his life. His aunt and uncle hadn't been able to think of anything else to do with them. And Harry's like in heaven, right? One, he gets to get like a lemon ice pop. I mean, and he only got to get that because the woman who was selling them just happened to ask him what he wanted, and the Dursleys were too embarrassed to not buy him anything, so they got him like the cheapest thing on the menu. All right, I'm gonna try this mac salad. I'm not I don't have high hopes, but I'm gonna try it, and if I eat more than one bite, then I'll be surprised. It's a miracle. Yeah, not gonna eat more than one bite of that. I mean, it looks tasty. It's not that tasty though. We're at the zoo. Harry's just like in his own world. He's staying away from them because he knows that once Dudley and his little friend Pierce get bored, they'll start picking on him. So he sort of stays away from them. He just does his own thing. Dudley Dursley, who thinks the world revolves around him, in the reptile cage, and he walks up to the enclosement where they have the boa constrictor, and he wants him to like sing and dance and wink at him, I guess. I don't know.
Make it move!
So he tells his dad to like force the snake to be entertaining. The snake doesn't do anything. Dudley gets bored, walks away. Harry walks up and he's just talking to him. He's like, "My guy, I'm sorry that you have to deal with people like this every day. I'm sure you get annoyed with people pushing their faces in on you."
Sorry about him.
Much to Harry's surprise,
Can you hear me?
the snake sort of responds in a way like this snake has like a personified personality. Like he looks at Harry like he understands what he's saying, and Harry is surprised. Then all of a sudden, the snake starts talking back to Harry. Why Harry didn't run away is beyond me, because if a snake started talking to me, no. So Pierce, which is Dudley's friend, notices this and like calls everyone that he came with. So he calls Petunia, Vernon, Dursley. He's like, "Oh, look at this snake." So Dudley runs over, knocks Harry out the way. And one thing that I noticed is that before Harry goes to Hogwarts, all the things that happen magically are because he's sort of triggered. So he's angry and annoyed when Dudley pushes him over. So all of a sudden, the glass vanishes.
Stupid.
Right? Dudley falls in. And in the movie, the glass comes back, but it never comes back in the book. He can just climb back out. So everyone's really upset because the snake is like, I'm out, I'm about to go do my own thing. Thanks for helping me out, friend. And Petunia's like freaking out, and the zookeeper, the director of the zoo, like makes her tea and like, you know, helps her to calm down. And no one really thinks anything about Harry's association with this glass vanishing until they're in the car. So they're all talking about it. The kids, besides Harry, are really, really excited. The kids are really, really excited until Pierce sort of tells on Harry. I mean, he does it inadvertently. You know, he's just excited. So he says, yeah, Harry, you were talking to that snake, right? And Harry knew that he was in for it then. So what happened was Vernon waited until Pierce's mom came to pick him up and took him home. And then he sort of banished Harry to the cupboard with no meals. I think he said for a week. I don't know. Because I don't want to like rant and go on about like the abuse of Harry. They do everything in their power to keep absolutely everything from Harry, because I think that it's a bit heavy-handed on purpose. I feel like JK wrote it that way so that once we meet like the Weasleys or like normal people, then, you know, we'll feel like, oh, they're such good people when they're just normal, you know. So the Vanishing Glass ends, you know, with Harry, you know, being in the cupboard, you know, so we have to see like what happens, how it progresses, what the next chapter brings. I mean, I already know what the next chapter brings. Read along, let me know what you think is going to happen. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me. Still eating, I'm still working on this. How is Dudley referred to as a baby by Harry? How is Hagrid inadvertently brought up in this chapter? What are the names of Mrs. Fig's cats? What is Petunia's friend called, and where did she go on holiday? What kind of snacks does Harry have at the zoo? Guys, I don't know why Umbridge had it in for you. I mean, Sybil, technically everything you said was true, but it was never a good look. Like, you know. Hagrid, you know, you're cool, dude. At least you don't have to share your job with Grubbly Planks. You know, Autumn thinks you're cool.
Goodbye, friend of Hagrid.